finds great pleasure in discussing business concepts with other owners and would-be, again the word? There we go. And helping them develop a plan to leverage the internet to their business. And with that, I'm going to give you Aaron.
He was my inductee. He would say, Terry, stand up, take a bow. It's all about you, Terry. That's right.
Okay, so today I'm going to cover a few things. I could sit up here and preach and ruffle my feathers about all of my accomplishments, but I want to leave you with something to take away so that you know what I do, how well I understand my industry, and how I can solve problems for you and friends that you have or references that you might have for me. The first thing that I want to talk about is the fact that, can we get the lights off? Thanks, Nick. The first thing that I want to talk about is the attention span of an internet user. Most of you probably drink coffee while you're on the computer anyway, and that does not help your attention span. Whoa. What happened there, Nick? Nick, can you reset me there? Thank you, sir. And then put me on the play button?
Yeah.
All right. So, over 3 billion Google searches are done in a single day.
Wow.
Per second.
Yep.
Oh,
34,000 questions per second. Now ask yourself, when you have a question, it's a little bit different than it was maybe for those of you that remember 20, 30 years ago when you had a question, you go find an expert and ask them. Now you just fire up the internet and ask Google, right? Google found that slowing search results by just 0.4 of a second would reduce the number of searches by 8 million a day. That tells you something about the attention span of the people using the internet. 1 in 4 people will abandon a web page that takes more than 4 seconds to load. You've done it before. You've clicked on something, a link off of Google or something like that, spinning, spinning, spinning. I don't have that kind of time. 50% of mobile users will abandon a page if it doesn't load in 10 seconds. There are some additional statistics to this, but the takeaway from this is that if you can't read a web page on your mobile phone when you load it, you're probably not going to read it. You're not going to take the time to zoom in, zoom out. That's what's called responsive web design, which addresses that problem. What we do as web designers, we're familiar with the responsive web design process, is we develop applications that recognize the mobile browser with device, the screen size of your mobile browser, and adjust the web page to fit that, the text font size to fit that, so that when you visit it, you can see it right away. 79% of mobile web consumers will use their phones for shopping. That probably surprises a lot of you, but I can tell you a lot of people that are my age will buy things over their phone. There are a lot of startup companies right now that I've been reading about that are incredibly profitable. There's one right now called Osmod here in town, owned by Ed Walker, who is, I believe, the manager of the business right now is Jennifer. I met them at the top of the Park Place, had a really interesting conversation with them. They are starting something like Groupon, where they will contract businesses to create coupons, and then the GPS in your mobile phone will tell you the businesses that are nearest to you and what deals they're offering. You're walking through the mall, you fire up Ozma, it'll tell you, oh, they're doing 33% over here on shirts, they're doing 50% off at Yankee for candles. Imagine how much business that'll bring those. Amazon makes about 67 million in sales each day. You could potentially lose up to 1.6 billion per year because of a 1 second page delay. There are multiple reasons for this. The first is that you will not rank as high as you could in search engines if your page doesn't load as fast. Why? Put yourself in the shoes of Google. What is their goal? They want people to keep coming back to Google. What keeps people coming back to Google? Web pages that serve the end user. Web pages that load fast, that have relevant content, that keep the user on the page, where the user doesn't bounce right back off the web page because it loads slow or it's not what they were looking for. So what makes someone leave a website? First thing, terrible navigation. If you have a navigation, if you're looking at a website, you show up to it, you have no idea how to get to what you're going to, you're just going to go find a new website. It's not worth your time to invest to try to figure out someone else's information for you. It should already be figured out for you. Too many ads. Not a lot of small businesses have this problem, but a lot of bloggy spam sites and some of the larger corporation websites do try to run Google ads or something like that to generate additional profit. And you see it on Facebook now where they're developing their own program to run the ads on the side. And some of those can be kind of creepy because they work off of sessions that you've had with other websites. So you see things that you've searched for, and it's a little personal. Bad content structure. It's all about the structure. Again, you're serving the end user. It's not just a problem for Google, it's a problem for you. Obtrusive use of audio and video. Oh my God, I hate this one, don't you? You go to visit a web page and someone starts talking to you immediately. And they're talking really loud because you didn't know that they were going to talk. And you had your speakers turned way up because you were listening to your favorite music. Wow, that's annoying. Registration requirement. Sometimes websites want to get your information because they can use that. And if it's done in the right way and they're doing it to help you, okay. But if they're just asking you without offering anything to you as the end user, that's not helpful, and you'll leave. Boring content, boring design. This is what I get fired up about. I see a website, I say, you know what? I can make that look 10 times better. And if I do that, I know how to set up analytics and track it, and I can show you metrics, numbers, performance, increases, people that stay, people that look at more content, view more pages. I can tell you how long the average visit will last in any given time period. Poor legibility. Okay, so this is typography. This is like the geeks of the internet really get off on this. What font should I use? Well, it is actually really important, and there are studies out there that show you that depending on the font that you use, its readability, the font size, and again, getting back to the layout, will keep more users on your site. They'll actually be able to read what you're trying to tell them. And if you use some fancy cursive font like up here in the welcome, I know it's a bit difficult to see, that's what not to do. Not unless it's in your logo, because that's your logo. You're trying to make a statement maybe with that. But if it's print and you're trying to teach them something or show them something, there's a reason why newspapers don't use that welcome font. Lack of frequency. You want to keep them engaged, you want to keep them coming back. So having a news roll of some kind, keeping people up to date, maybe having a deals page where it's your current events, having a call to action on the things that you want them to keep engaged and coming back to learn and see, that's what's going to keep people coming back to your site. Paying attention to that and building an element into your website that includes something like that. So the bounce rate. What is the bounce rate? I don't know if any of you have heard this term before. If you haven't, it'll make sense real fast. Google wants to serve the end users. They came up with an algorithm. Here is it, the algorithm. Okay, you don't have to understand that, but I do. So I'll do it for you. What this means is it's an algorithm that they use to take elements of your website, and based on those parameters, if a person visits your website and leaves within a certain time period and it's unique to your site and it changes over time, you get a bounce. Google doesn't like bounces. People should stay on your site if that's what they searched. They searched it and they bounced, it's not relevant on that term, bye-bye to your search result, okay? I know how that works, and I know how to keep you updated. Bounce rate by industry. Retail sites have a high bounce rate. Simple landing pages, huge bounce rate. Portals have a pretty big bounce rate. Lead generation sites, this is what I do. Half of the people will leave on a page that's specifically designed to show them a call to action, a service that you can provide them, keep it simple, clean, tight, neat, and offer them something that they want to keep getting into. And this includes getting an email address or something from the user so that you can follow up. Improving the bounce rate, things that you can do. My favorite, getting a video. Getting you in front of a camera or someone that you trust, your marketing professional, whatever, to tell the user what it is that you do in a clean, simple, neat way so that they sit on your site for even just 30 seconds. Then they're not a bouncer. Web analytics review. This comes from KISS metrics. Average pages per site viewed, 4.9. I'm just going to kind of fly through this. I just want to show you that you can get very detailed information on geolocals. You can get very detailed information on whether someone directly typed in your email or your website address, whether it was referred as a link from another website, whether they found you an organic search from Google, Yahoo, or Bing on a search result, or whether you paid to have them come there. Bounce rate distribution by country. Surprisingly, the United States isn't very high on the list, but apparently people in France have a very short attention span.
We do that.
Traffic sources on average, direct traffic is pretty high usually because if you're an established brand, they know your website name, they just type it in and get to you. Referral traffic is about 21%, that's all link building, that makes you more popular with Google. Search engines 27%, and there are other methods to get there as well. Got a couple other points I want to nail, so I'm just flying through this here. You can tell what operating system people are running on. This is SEO. A one search phrase, SEO, it's incredibly hard to rank on. There's a middle sort of sweet spot. You have 2 to 3 word phrases. Then you have long-term, long-tail keywords. Those are low. Search frequency, competition. High competition on simple phrases, low competition, low search frequency, or high competition, low search frequency on the long tail. So in other words, you want to find the sweet spot where it's the right size term and there are enough people searching for it to where you're going to drive more traffic to your website. I'm low on time here, so bear with me. I'm flying through my SEO side of things. The SEO side of things gets quite complicated. It's very, very involved. It's almost a profession in and of itself. But if you have any questions about that, how to drive more traffic to your website, that is what I'm professing in right now. Effective homepage. The basics should have clean, nice layout. It should have your logo, clean navigation, should have a search capability, should also have a 404 page. If someone reaches a page they're not supposed to be at, they can still search or get relevant articles on what's happening on your site so they're not completely disengaged and leave. The objectives, call to action, huge on this. The color scheme, the design, and everything is going to revolve around having a call to action that allows for someone to complete an objective that you have in mind. Here are some examples of call to action. There's Spotify. Download Spotify. You know where it is right away. Oh, wow. Okay, so just examples of call to action, and this is the end of my presentation anyway.